Well, well, look at that. We've officially arrived at the glorious next chapter of DC Studios' grand master plan under James Gunn. And shockingly, yeah, truly shockingly, it's not the unstoppable pop culture juggernaut they swore it would be. And I'm as stunned as you are. After months of AstroTurf fan base singing hymns to Superman like it was a cinematic gospel, we found out the movie was not actually a smash hit. It didn't actually make any money. It turns out when you spent a mountain of cash on production and marketing, $615 million to be precise, it doesn't actually equal profit. But who would have guessed? Oh, right. Everyone. So then came the real follow up after that lovely disaster, Peacemaker Season 2, the show that James Gunn hyped like it was the second coming of a serialised television. The show that he cast his wife as the main character. Yeah, that's alarm bells there. And just like that, a fancy cake on a discount buffet. It looked pretty on the outside, but tasted like absolute dog shit. The ratings, abysmal. Like, did anyone actually watch this? Then the grand finale dropped and fans were thrilled, by which I mean they collectively face-palmed. It became the lowest rated episode of the show by the actual audience, including the same people who've been defending James Gunn like their lives depended on it. Even they couldn't spin this one. When the hype squad jumped ship, you know it's bad. And let's be honest, season 1 of Peacemaker wasn't exactly Shakespeare. It was fine, messy, a bit like watching someone build IKEA furniture blindfolded. Kind of entertaining in a train wreck in a slow motion way. But now, when this is the follow up to the big Superman reboot, the supposed cornerstone of an entire cinematic universe, you expect something resembling direction. Instead, we got James Gunn's wife, a lot of her, like suspiciously a lot of her. Then there was that brilliant Earth-X subplot, a subtle, nuanced exploration of. No, I'm just kidding. It was a painfully forced modern world equals Nazis metaphor that felt as deep as a kiddie's paddling pool. And James Gunn's response to the last episode? Basically, yeah, that was the ending. No, and I'm not sorry. No DMs, okay, maybe one DM. Peak James Gunn right there. It's like he made it in his living room and you have to deal with it energy. The man recorded his not sorry bit before the episode even aired. How bold of you, James Gunn. And the fans, meanwhile, have been pointing out the obvious. Nothing happened. No, not nothing happened. Literally nothing. The final was basically a glorified music video. Remember those cameos that Gunn teased? Blue Beetle this, surprise that. Yeah, there was none of that. There were no cameos at all. Literally nothing happened. Even people who are basically doing the PR for the guy on social media are starting to sound like ex-believers at a bad cult exit interview. I used to love James' work, Gunn, they say, but everything's starting to feel like a discounted Guardians of the Galaxy. And honestly, and they're not wrong. Superman felt like a PG Guardians, while Peacemaker felt like an R-rated Guardians with more fart jokes. And then you have the critics who practically wrote love poems about his brilliant Nazi white men are bad allegories. Now throwing their hands up and admitting, yeah, that kind of sucked. That's how far the tide has now turned. And even die-hard fans are calling out this season as indulgent, messy, and about as fun as a wet sock. Cena got a couple of decent scenes, sure, but mostly it was just the same self-indulgent Gunn formula. Metal bands, awkward sex jokes, pointless guest appearances, and a storyline wandering around like he'd forgotten his car keys. It was really poor. And now maybe whispers are starting. Maybe, just maybe, James Gunn isn't the saviour of the DC universe after all. Maybe the big Superman reboot flopped harder than they'd like to admit. But we know it flopped hard. And they just won't admit it. And this is the messy follow-up, isn't exactly inspiring confidence. But hey, according to Gunn, he's not sorry. Why should he be? It's not like the fans had expectations or anything. But there you have it. DCU, ladies and gentlemen, off to a spectacularly mediocre start. So what do you guys think? Do you think James Gunn has dropped the ball or is James Gunn done? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you on the next video.